Hey everyone, who exactly might have seen the mark that God put upon Cain? Let's talk about that today. Shalom everybody, and welcome to Beit Tefillah. Today I want to talk about the mark that God put upon Cain after Cain killed his brother Abel. To more easily understand this video, I recommend watching this one that I uploaded last, which is called What Are the Nephilim? I'm going to add a link to that below in the description. That will help you understand this one just a little bit better. But I think we all know the story where Cain rose up and killed his brother Abel when Abel's sacrifice was accepted and Cain's was rejected. And let's start out right after that and read about the mark that God placed on Cain in Genesis 4:13-15. And Cain said to Yahweh, "My punishment is too great to bear. See, you have driven me from the face of the ground today, and I am hidden from your face. I shall be a fugitive and a wanderer on the earth, and it shall be that anyone who finds me kills me." And Yahweh said to him, "Well, if anyone kills Cain, vengeance is taken on him sevenfold." And Yahweh set up a sign for Cain, lest anyone finding him strikes him. So as we read, clearly God put some kind of mark on Cain, so when Cain was driven out, nobody would kill him. Now, nobody knows what this mark is, what it looked like, or how people would have recognized it, but apparently we can assume that everyone back in that day would have recognized it. The bigger question is, who are the people back in that day who might have recognized it, right? Who are those people that would have killed Cain? We have the story of Adam and Eve, the story of Eve having Cain and Abel. So where did all the other people come from? Most people at this point in time think there was just Adam and Eve and Cain, and that's it, right? First of all, there must have been other people, and they must have known God's law, and therefore would have known all about the commandment, "Thou shalt not kill," right? Or why would they have killed Cain? The Torah states in Leviticus 24:17, "Any man that kills another man shall certainly be put to death." So there had to be others out there who would have known this law, and in the keeping of God's law, they would have killed Cain. They would have thought that they were keeping the law and pleasing God, right? After all, right after Cain was sent out, this is recorded in Genesis 4:17. "And Cain knew his wife, and she conceived and bore Enoch. And he built a city and named it after his son Enoch." So somewhere out there, Cain found a wife as well. And I've heard other people say, well, that had to be one of his sisters. No, that's completely against the Torah. Leviticus 18:9, "The nakedness of your sister, the daughter of your father, or the daughter of your mother, whether born at home or elsewhere, their nakedness you do not uncover." So uncovering nakedness is just not seeing someone naked. It can also mean having sexual relations. Even if it were just seeing someone naked, there's no way to have sex without uncovering private parts, right? So this whole sister idea, according to the Torah, is out. And in Genesis, after we read about Cain marrying, building a city, and having his own children, we can read in Genesis 4:25, "And Adam knew his wife again, and she bore a son, and called his name Seth, for Elohim has appointed me another seed instead of Abel, because Cain had slain him." So it's clearly after Cain and Abel that Seth is born. Then after that, this was recorded in Genesis 5:1-4. "This is the book of the genealogy of Adam. In the day that Elohim created man, he made him in the likeness of Elohim. Male and female he created them, and he blessed them, and called their name Adam in the day they were created. And Adam lived 130 years, and brought forth a son in his own likeness, after his image, and called his name Seth. And after he brought forth Seth, the days of Adam were 800 years, and he brought forth sons and daughters." And this is the first mention of Adam and Eve having daughters. So it was Cain and Abel and Seth, and then came other kids, daughters and sons, right? So who did Cain marry? Possibly one of the daughters of the people from who would come or become the Nephilim. This is why you should see that previous video I did, right? What are the Nephilim? Before you watch this video, that statement of mine isn't going to make a whole lot of sense to you. And we read that after Cain went out and got married, that he built cities. Well, if there weren't other people out there, did he build the cities and wait for other people to be born and grow up and inhabit them? No, that's ridiculous. If you haven't figured it out by now, the theory that I subscribe to is that there were plenty of other people created either just before or around the same time that Adam and Eve were created. Some of the people lived to be a grand old age and became men of old, as written in Genesis 6:4. The Nephilim were on earth in those days and also afterward, when the sons of Elohim came into the daughters of men, and they bore children to them. Those were the mighty men who were of old, the men of name. So these were men of old. We just read that Adam lived to be 800 years, and we know Methuselah lived to be 960 something. These guys back then lived a very long time. They would have been well-known, renowned men of old. Okay, they would have been men of name. Like, yeah, everybody knows who Adam and Methuselah and all these people are, because they were around for almost 1,000 years. I know that some people, if not most people, think that all people born on earth back then came from Adam and Eve. And I think those people most likely get that idea from the following verse in Genesis 3:20. And the man called his wife's name Hawa, or Eve, because she became the mother of all living. I believe it was one of two things, becoming the mother of all living. It was a reference to women in general becoming the mothers of all men, or mankind, or, and more believably, that it was because Noah and his sons descended from them and all the others would die off in the flood, so Eve ended up becoming the mother of all of those who will live. The story of Adam and Eve was given, with Noah descending from them, showing the righteous bloodline. Maybe it was those who would be around to live on the earth after the flood, or it could be a reference to those who would inherit eternal life from living righteously. Or perhaps all of these. I don't know. It's a theory. But I'd like to point out one other thing. The following passage pertains to God's week of creation on the sixth day. Genesis 1:26-28. And Elohim said, let us make man in our image, according to our likeness, and let them rule over the fish of the sea, the birds of the heavens, over the livestock, over all the earth, and the creeping creatures that creep on the ground. And Elohim created the man in his image. In the image of Elohim he created him, male and female he created them. And Elohim blessed them, and Elohim said to them, be fruitful and increase, and fill the earth and subdue it, and rule over the fish of the sea, the birds of the heavens, and the creeping creatures on the earth. Then God rested on the Sabbath, and then in the second chapter of Genesis 2:7, it says, and Yehovah Elohim formed the man out of the dust from the ground and breathed into his nostrils the breath of life, and the man became a living being. So according to the timeline, sixth day, God creates men and women. He rests on the seventh day, and after that, he creates Adam and pulls a rib out of Adam and creates Eve after that. The word for man in Genesis chapter 1 is Adam, which isn't a name, but it means roughly a ruddy man, and it's the same word used for man in Genesis chapter 2 when God formed Adam from the dust of the earth. Let's also take note that in Genesis chapter 1, God created both men and women. And in Genesis chapter 2, he creates Adam from the dust of the earth, and then he pulls a rib out of Adam, and then he creates Eve. So he still created Eve, but it was kind of special. It was kind of in a different way. Or maybe it was just a recap of the events that happened on the sixth day. But what I think overall we learned from the Mark of Cain is that there were other people that were created first. There were a lot of other people around during that time. It wasn't just Adam and Eve and Cain, like a lot of people think. Anyway, this is just food for thought, okay? I'd like to know your thoughts. If you could leave a comment below, I'd sure appreciate it. Anyway, I hope this video blessed you. Thanks for watching, everyone, and thanks for being a part of Beit Tefillah. Please give this video a thumbs up and sub to our channel if you haven't done so yet. We'd sure appreciate it. Give a shout out and a shalom to all who are Yisra'el and are scattered worldwide in the dispersion. Everybody be blessed and have a wonderful day.